Hi, I'm Clint Bracknell. I'm a professor of music at UWA and I mainly focus on popular music and Indigenous music. So I'll be talking about the track Marina by Baker Boy featuring Yuramal. This track was released in 2017. Like much contemporary popular music, Marina was written by a songwriting and production team including Jerome Farah from Melbourne, singer Yuramal Marika known as Yuramal, and rapper Dunzel Baker known as Baker Boy. Both of those guys are from Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory. There's also another person on the songwriting team named Dion Brownfield, and he's run an organisation called Indigenous Hip Hop Project since 2019, and this has included artists like Baker Boy and his cousin Yuramal too. Community workshops have been synonymous with the presence of hip hop in Australia since the 1990s, and these workshops increasingly take place in remote areas of Australia. Arnhem Land is at the top of the Northern Territory. Approximately 75% of the population in Arnhem Land are of the Yolngu clans. Baker Boy and Yuramal are both Yolngu, and the Indigenous language that features in the track Marina is Yolngu Matha, a first language for Baker Boy and Yuramal. While more than 200 languages were spoken by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people prior to British colonisation of Australia, Yolngu Matha is one of very few still being spoken strongly by all generations and passed on to children as a first language. The strength of Yolngu language and Yolngu people's status as a cultural majority in their homelands continues to nurture the production of Yolngu arts, including popular music, that has national and international reach. Now, rapping in an Aboriginal language of Australia geographically and culturally distinguishes the track Marina from African American hip-hop and any other hip-hop, while also ascribing it with a perceivably authentic Yolngu identity. Although not the first person to rap using an Indigenous language of Australia, Baker Boy is certainly the most prominent. Both lyrically and musically, Marina foregrounds Yolngu language and Yiraki, the term used by Yolngu Matha speakers for the instrument commonly known as the didgeridoo. In its original performance context of Northern Australia, this instrument also goes by several regionally distinctive names. Over recent decades, the didgeridoo, or the Yiraki, has taken centre stage as a visual and audible symbol of Aboriginal culture everywhere, particularly in the south of Australia. This trend coincides with growth in the didgeridoo's global popularity as a novel instrument occasionally used in contemporary music and frequently associated with the New Age movement. Now, in many ways, Marina builds on the legacy of the band Yothu Yindi, first formed in 1986. Yothu Yindi's track, Treaty, particularly the Filthy Lucre remix, reached number 11 on the ARIA singles charts in 1992 as the first single performed almost completely in an Indigenous language to do so. It remains a staple of Australian dance floors today. Like much contemporary popular music produced with digital audio workstations, Marina is in 4/4 time and maintains a consistent tempo at 114 beats per minute throughout. However, it has an effective middle eight that slows down to half time. Although not a common technique in pop music, the half-time middle eight, or bridge, is an established convention used by artists as diverse as Elvis Presley in 1969's Suspicious Minds and Dua Lipa in 2020's Levitating. Harmonically, the verse in Marina vamps on F minor or F minor 7, while the chorus introduces a 3-chord harmonic progression and a vocal melody. Anchoring a groove on one chord is common in hip-hop, funk and soul music, particularly evident in the James Brown track Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, Part 2 from 1968, a track which is also alluded to in Baker Boy's lyrics. The track Marina is structured to maintain interest throughout, with instruments and sounds added and cut out at various points to emphasise the vocal hooks. Two distinctive structural characteristics of this track include the way it pulls the beat out of its pre-chorus and has a largely lyric-free chorus. Over the last 4 decades, the Roland 808 drum machine, and particularly its bass drum sound, has made a surprising dent in popular culture. When you hear a music producer say 808, it's usually obvious they are talking about the pitched low-frequency bass drum sound synonymous with much contemporary hip-hop and popular music. Here is a regular 808 bass drum sound. And here, the same sound has been shifted to different pitches to serve as a bass line. Making itself sound identifiable as a hip-hop track, Marina features a tuned electronic bass drum sound that serves as a primary bass line before the bass guitar enters the piece. Even though it's unclear whether the tuned bass drum sample used in Marionette is from an 808 drum machine, this technique of having a tuned electronic drum sound serving as a bass line is often referred to as 808 bass. Marionette embodies identity in two major ways. It foregrounds Yolngu culture by including Yolngu language and Yidaki, and it places itself within the milieu of contemporary hip-hop, R&B and pop in its use of 808 bass, 4/4 time, and other common structural and sonic characteristics we hear on the radio today.